Hello, dear friends. There's good news, bad news, and fair news, but you have to know what's going on in the world. Opinion piece. The matrix is broken. Breaking through the ice. Earth's transformation. This evolution is perceptible. Activation of the Lion's Gate. It's all beginning according to Morgan. Israel confirms ceasefire in Gaza. This process will be incredibly chaotic. It's all starting in Brazil according to Vital Frosi. Things are escalating very quickly. West Virginia started the domino effect. Gustavo Petro is sworn in as Colombia's president. Confidence in the system falls to an all-time low. Hungary and Poland oppose cuts in gas consumption. Food prices fall for the fourth month in a row. Jews enter Aqsa mosque despite ban. It is morally wrong for them to try to control our thoughts. Let's start. The clique's matrix is broken, and now it is only a matter of the mass awakening of the village, according to Peter B. Mayer. They must be able to see with their own eyes those who have caused them untold harm and who they are. At that time, everything will change for the better and will turn to the light. Consider the current period as a preparation, but know that it will happen at last. The current process of Earth's transformation is awakening more and more humankind every day. Motivated by events, it is causing more and more citizens to awake. The number of people who observe themselves and want to understand life has increased. This evolution is perceptible, but the noise continues to drown out the silent change in the hearts of many. Lion's Gate activation on Monday, the 8th of the 8th month. This is a time of great change and growth. Relaxing and allowing these high-frequency downloads to flow will bring a deeper awakening. As you activate your light body, the seeds of your potential will begin to blossom with you. Open your heart to receive them fully. This is a heightened time for awakening and an accelerated spiritual rebirth, with prophetic dreams and visions, heart chakra activation, and increased intuition and insight. Breaking. For the moment, the attention shifts in silence and peace. A different world opens up with new realities, and it is necessary for humankind to arise and awaken, so that at least some of the inhabitants set their course towards the light and do not allow themselves to be distracted. In the near future, the world of third and fourth density will be home only for those who wish to continue in this dimension, whose life cycle has not been completed. Although it may seem now that there is no way out of this situation, where the dark powers still seem to have the upper hand, the reality is clearly different. The war is lost and we have won. The energy for the breakthrough is building up among the people, and on a day which no one can predict, the full extent of the lies will unexpectedly be exposed and seen by the masses, to discover that they have been deceived. Independence. The more grounded you are in yourself and the more connected you are to your soul, the greater your understanding of cosmic connections and the easier and more harmonious your life will be. Everything revolves around independent thinking. Unfortunately, few people have been taught this. Maria Montessori, with her emphasis on autonomous thinking and individual intuition, used children's natural eagerness to learn to teach this experiential knowledge and demystify the classic follower attitude. The power of the dark forces will vanish on the day when the people rise up en masse and demonstrate that planet Earth belongs to us, the people. This is the greatest and the most beautiful challenge, the one that forms humankind into a unity, to purify, protect and preserve planet Earth as a jewel of the divine order. The old that is normal to you, even the comfortable, is now completely out of resonance with yourself and will reject itself from you, according to the laws of the universe. What is meant is that you are ascended near the 5D level and moving on to the next level. If you choose to go backwards on the vibrational scale and do not want progress, you will experience the change offered with the resistance and fear, and you will go back down. The good news is that within the change that is happening to you now, there is a new level of comfort that goes far beyond what you have been accustomed to. It is waiting for you, and there is much more, but the Pleiadians have said to get on it quickly, for there is more to it, so you all need to pay attention. Brazil. Let's talk about the flag of Brazil. First of all, it can be said that all national flags are sacred symbols, even a flag that represents an organization or an alliance, because the energy is concentrated in the flag that represents them. Brazil has a sacred destiny within the divine plan for the earth according to Vital Frosi. The flag of Brazil is formed by a green rectangle with a radius 17. Above this rectangle there is a yellow rhombus, and within this a blue circle with a white band containing the motto Order and Progress in green, as well as 27 white stars. If Brazil is the heart chakra of the earth, it is to say the heart of the world, it is only natural that its most important sacred symbol, the national flag, is attacked in a despicable way. All the Christic energies of the heart chakra of the planet are represented in the national flag of Brazil. An incarnated soul, inspired from on high, designed the flag in the format and colors in which it's made. What is represented in this sacred symbol is the cause of so much anger on the part of those who sympathize with darkness. It will all start in Brazil. The heart never stops beating, for then the planet could not survive. Earth's timeline changed in 2010. Armageddon will not happen, and this is the reason for the despair of a part of humankind, the very ones who keep trying to destroy the holy symbols. The light has won. There is no reason to be afraid of what is implanted in the humankind's consciousness. Trust in the plan. Signs of change. Signs that the mind-controlled matrix is beginning to crumble, according to Michael Snyder. For any society to function effectively, there must be a high level of trust. Unfortunately for the elite, we no longer simply trust them. Trust in our politicians has fallen to an all-time low. Trust in the media has fallen to an all-time low. Trust in our corporations has fallen to an all-time low. Trust in our healthcare system has fallen to an all-time low. Trust in our education system has fallen to an all-time low. Trust in the technology industry has fallen to an all-time low. We are no longer buying the rubbish they keep throwing our way. It is morally wrong for them to try to control what we think. It is imperative that we all learn to think for ourselves, because that's the only way we will be truly free. Almost all of us can see that our society is on the wrong path, and that is the first step to getting back on the right path. As time goes on, I think we will wake up more and more ourselves. And in the end, I believe that the old world order that the elite have worked so hard to establish will collapse. This process will be incredibly chaotic, but it will be worth the end result. Reset news. Donald Trump said, in quotes, "We are a nation that begs oil from Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, and many others. We are a nation that is failing." Close quotes. Taiwan, another manufactured confrontation to maintain hegemony. Justin Trudeau promises to ban cryptocurrencies so future freedom convoys can't support his government. Putin and Erdogan agreed to set payments for gas supplies in rubles. Turkish Stream pipeline runs smoothly, unlike other of our hydrocarbon supply routes, according to Putin. Financial collapse, economic collapse, things are escalating very quickly. It's all starting, according to Morgan, 5 days after the Black August, and the skies are already darkening. Now interest rates have added to the rising prices of everything but wages, of course. Every red state in the US has received direct orders to close banks, withdraw money, and ban financial institutions run by BlackRock, Vanguard, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan. West Virginia started the domino effect when State Treasurer Riley Moore came out publicly against BlackRock and the Davos restart. In quotes, "We are not going to pay for our own destruction," the Treasurer said. All banks in red states have been given the green light to reject the climate agenda related to BlackRock, Vanguard banks. In the coming weeks, 7 European countries are expected to block these banks. Vanguard and BlackRock investors were jumping ship. Spain. Draft is drawing Spain. The heat waves that have continued to scorch Spain in recent weeks and the prolonged lack of rainfall have unavoidably led to a historic drop in water reserves and consumption restrictions that are gradually spreading. Las Tablas de Daimiel in Ciudad Real are expecting water in mid-August. Spain is preparing an energy-saving campaign inspired by the oil crisis of the 70s. The government clarifies that hotels and shops can have the thermostat set at 25 degrees. Traffic points out the most dangerous times to drive. Between 3 and 5 in the morning and between 2 and 4 in the afternoon. It is recommended to avoid long journeys if you are not used to driving or if it is at night. Without a contract or holidays and working 10 hours a day for €700, the owner of a bar in Terrassa, Barcelona is arrested. The Zarzuela race course, a golden retreat of the PSOE disgraced. Working and losing confidence is a blow if you are hand-picked off for a salary of €113,000 a year. That is almost €10,000 a month. Long live democracy for the few. Americas. Gustavo Petro is run as in Colombia's first left-wing president, while Francia Márquez, 41, becomes the first woman of African descent to assume the presidency. Petro receives the blessing of the indigenous people and visits a natural park before his inauguration. Several explosions and a large fire in an industrial zone in Cuba. According to local media, Lightning struck crude oil storage tank 52 at the supertanker base in the city of Matanzas, sparking a fire. Industrial fire in Matanzas leaves 1 dead and 122 injured. Cuba's energy minister is among those injured in a major fire in Matanzas. The fire broke out in the city's industrial zone and left at least 1 dead and more than a dozen firefighters missing. Díaz-Canel thanks López Obrador and Maduro for their immediate response to the fire at a fuel depot in Cuba in the industrial zone of the city of Matanzas. López Obrador confirms that Pemex and its armed forces will go to Cuba for the fire. Book against AMLO. Mexican journalist Jesús Lemus argues that the political project of President Andrés Manuel López Obrador is in danger of being derailed. The object of the investigation is the management of the head of the Attorney General's office, Alejandro Hertz Manero. Women support Chile's new constitution, and the Mapuche do not want a separate state, according to a survey. 2 businessmen linked to Venezuela opposition leader Leopoldo López are indicted by the U.S. justice system for alleged corruption. Bolivia celebrates the 197th anniversary of its independence. 19 beaches in Peru have not been cleaned up after the Repsol oil spill. Pedro Castillo doesn't accept the resignation of Peru's president. Costa Rica expresses its consent for political prisoners and the press in Nicaragua. Cars buried and people stranded for flooding in Death Valley, USA. Europe. German firefighters managed to contain an explosive depot fire in a Berlin forest. German authorities fear that the energy crisis in the country could lead to mass protests. Hungary and Poland opposed to the European agreement to reduce gas consumption. Former British Prime Minister warned that the country could face a winter of extreme poverty in quotes. Supply crisis. Ukraine reports departure of 3 ships with 58,000 tons of grain. Second ship with Ukrainian grain arrives in Turkey. Russia may change its grain supply plan abroad. Food prices fall for the 4th consecutive month and are at their lowest since January, according to the FAO. Food prices fall in July, but fears remain about future supplies. Supply chain problems will persist due to the system sabotage. The mainstream media admits that the world is on the brink of food collapse. In California, cuts off water supply to farms, the US would face food shortages. The United Nations removes a piece titled "The Benefits of World Hunger." Was it real or satire? Global drought. Water stress and severe droughts are affecting even traditionally cool countries, which have imposed water consumption restrictions to ensure supplies because of a phenomenon that is beginning to take on a global character. Ukraine. Witch hunt in Ukraine. A raid is launched to find pro-Russian residents in a Ukrainian city. To think is a crime there. 70% of Western arms supplied to Ukraine do not reach the front lines because of corruption. Ukraine launches 2 attacks on the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, the largest in Europe. The first offensive caused a fire, while the second hit the industrial area of the plant. The attacks affect affect power lines of the Ukrainian nuclear power plant captured by Russia. A Ukrainian shell is reported to have landed about 400 meters from the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. The storage area for spent nuclear fuel was hit. IAEA calls to avoid catastrophic consequences after the Ukrainian attacks on Europe's largest nuclear power plant. 1 dead and 13 wounded in a Ukrainian attack on a residential building in the Republic of Lugansk. Ex-Western military trained Ukrainians. Based in Donbass, the Mossad group is composed of 20 to 30 volunteers from the US, UK, Ireland, and other Western countries. The new Ukrainian recruits undergo a 5 to 10 day intensive military training course taught in Donbass by ex-military personnel from the West, The Guardian reported on Friday. In a report published on Monday, the Daily Beast revealed that a group of veterans is teaching guerrilla warfare tactics to Ukrainian civilians in order to prepare them to fight against the Russian army. Zelensky withdraws hundreds of parliamentarians' diplomatic passports for leaving Ukraine in the middle of the war. Residents of Ukrainian cities deal with debris from Russian shelling. Russia doesn't rule out Australia eventually hosting nuclear weapons as part of the AUKUS alliance with the US and UK. Australia's former Deputy Defence Minister believes his country should get new missiles in the face of a rising China. Russia accuses the US of involvement in the development of the bug. Iraq closes its public offices due to high temperatures. Protests in Iraq over the appointment of a politician opposed to cleric Muqtada al-Sadr. Iraqi protesters settled outside parliament. Shiite leader Muqtada al-Sadr demands the dissolution of parliament and early elections. Middle East. Israel announces a large-scale air operation against Islamic Jihad in Gaza. It will strike weapons production sites, warehouses, and rocket launching positions. Israel bombs Gaza, killing 8 people. Israel kills an Islamic Jihad commander in a new bombardment of Gaza. Israel's heavy offensive on Gaza threatens to escalate. Israel announces a week of bombardment of Gaza, which responds with rockets. The Palestinian Health Ministry reported 15 dead and 125 wounded since the start of the Israeli operation last Friday. Islamic Jihad claims to have fired more than 100 rockets into central Israel. Israel confirms ceasefire in Gaza. Earlier, spokesman for Islamic Jihad announced that they had reached an agreement with the Israeli authorities. Jews enter Al-Aqsa mosque despite status quo ban. The entry into the temple took place when Israelis were celebrating the Hebrew holiday Tisha B'Av. Other countries. Severe flooding in Uganda leaves 22 dead. A 900-year-old wooden bridge in Pinggan country, Fujian province, China, catches fire and collapses. An Indian auto giant sells 100,000 cars in less than half an hour. The first 25,000 vehicles were bought in just 1 minute. Mahindra & Mahindra unveiled its latest model Scorpio N SUV with overwhelming success. Inflation in the Philippines rises 6.4% in July, the highest in 4 years. South Korean spacecraft blast off from the US to orbit the moon for a year. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.